Now on a special edition of Mississippi Insight. A closer look at the candidates for mayor of Jackson, what they said on leadership, priorities, city services, and how they plan to work with state and federal leaders who deliver results. That's straight ahead on this Sunday on Mississippi Insight. I'm Byron Brown. Thank you for joining us for this May 18th edition of Insight. This morning, we're bringing you a special recap of Tuesday's televised mayoral forum ahead of Jackson's general election. I co-moderated the event along with attorney strategist Jennifer Riley Collins. 6 candidates will be on the ballot June 3rd, and tonight we highlighted where they stand on the issues that matter most to voters.
A little bit about my background. I have had the benefit of serving 2 terms on the Board of Aldermen in the City of Clinton, served in senior management with Trustmark Bank, and owned my own businesses for over 30 years, and that has well prepared me just from a management perspective. The experiences of building and restoring infrastructure in the City of Clinton, having spent my career in construction, and the building and the restoration that we have done through our career, those things work very well. Now, crisis-wise, we have one of the key jobs at Trustmark Bank was business continuity and disaster recovery, and you know, doesn't matter, you know, what happens if a hurricane hits Panama City, to the residents, they need a bank. And so I've had extensive experience with the preparations for business continuity and also for disaster recovery when serious crises have occurred.
So I've been in leadership positions since the age of 8. I started in Jubilee Christian Center Church in California. I went through a school of leadership in the 2nd grade. I had to graduate after passing a test and an evaluation. I was then made the youngest volunteer in the entire church, was a church of about 5,000 people at 9 years old. Then from there on, I've served in various roles of leadership as a youth in different churches and organizations. Then after becoming an adult, I was a leader in one of the top sales grossing Chick-fil-A's here in the state. Then I also was a training director and manager for Grant's Kitchen and Grill in Flowood. Then I was promoted 4 times at U-Haul for their sales team contact center. I went from being a regular sales rep to being a full-blown sales team manager, doing the top numbers and actually training other teams. And as a pastor and serving in different roles as a worship pastor, young adult pastor, music and production director, different churches around the city here, we took very different approaches to different situations. Every church was different, every challenge was different, but one particular crisis was when I took over leading in this church. Okay,
thank you so very much. Ms. Robinson.
What qualifies me to be the mayor for the city of Jackson is my love for the people. The things that I've done in the last 50 years, being born right here in Jackson, boots on the ground, working with Girl Scout, Boy Scout, all the youth activities that we need for youth in this city, I've done that. And also I'm a business owner for the last 48 years. I've been a child development director and owner. I've overseen budgets, make sure we met payroll, and anything that would come up, I've had the opportunity to strategize with other directors, strategize with those at Human Services so that we can have quality preschool education in Jackson. The thing that really disturbed me is the poverty rate in Jackson, and I have worked without any reservations to make sure that the children are fed.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Mr. Horhn, Senator Horhn.
Thank you and good evening. I first started my adult career serving 14 years in the public and private sector. Into that period of time, 14 years in, I was elected to the state senate. I spent 32 years as a state senator with a focus primarily on economic development and community development. It came at a time when Jackson was facing a declining tax base, population loss, a lack of resources. And one of the greatest things that we were able to do during that period of time was establishing a 1-cent sales tax, because the city didn't have any money to pay for its infrastructure. That 1-cent sales tax generates on average $16 million a year. Over a 20-year period, it will result in about $300 million that the city didn't have to put on infrastructure that it now does have to put on infrastructure. I would describe that as probably the biggest policy challenge that we've had to put some resources in place to deal with our infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Horhn. What are your top 3 priorities for your first 100 days in office, and why those specific issues? Mr. Servis, we'll begin with you.
Accessibility, accountability, and affordability. It's my top 3 priorities, and one of the first things we're going to do is hire a public works director. We're going to restructure the organization of the entire city employee structure. We're going to balance out the salaries. I've already received some commitments from city and council people, and I've also received commitments from candidates that they're going to work with me on my agenda to raise pay for city employees. We're going to begin going away from contracts. We're also going to launch a forensic audit and make sure that we are caught up on the 2 years of state audits that we're behind on. Then we're also going to create a resident dashboard where you can in real time access the projects, the timelines, and the spending of the dollars. Right now, we pay over $90,000 a year for an open data system that we do not use, and it has not been updated for the last 6 years, which is in non-compliance with Executive Order 2015-06 from Mayor Yarber. We are currently not in compliance with many state laws. We don't have a bond rating. We are going to start catching up on what we've been behind on. We're going to start paying people what they're due, and we're going to start doing the simple work of enforcing state law. Thank you.
Mrs. Robinson.
What I would like to do the first day is to bring cohorts together, all the city council members, each department head, a representative from each ward, a youth representative so they can give input on what they would like to see in this city. I would also like to make sure that we deal with the crime among our youth. We know that there's systemic poverty in Jackson, and if we can deal with the poverty issue, and if we can deal with a great quality education for our children, our youth, then I believe we'll be able to tackle crime, then the infrastructure, the potholes, the ditches that need cleaning, all the things that need correcting. We can do this, but I want a group of people that would join me so that we could unify this city together and get there and labor. I'm a leader. I'm not a politician. I'm a worker. So I would like to encourage anyone that want to work, contact me.
Thank you, Mrs. Robinson.
And vote for.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Senator Horhn.
Thank you. As we paint a new picture of Jackson, we've got to do 3 things to start out with. We have to restore trust and accountability of our city government. As taxpayers need to have trust in the city that it's going to do what it's supposed to do. We have to have accountability with our city as taxpayers. The second thing that we've got to do is restore trust and accountability with our governmental partners, with the county, with the state, with the federal government. And then the thing that we've got to focus on next is the delivery of basic services. We have to have a reliance and an expectation that the basic services that a city is supposed to deliver will be delivered by the city government. And then the third thing that we need to do is to develop a comprehensive plan. The old saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And that's where we are in Jackson right now. We need a comprehensive plan of action going forward.
Mr. DePriest.
First 100 days, my contractor background just insists that we start with the right foundation. We got to get the foundation right before we go vertical with anything. My very first night, we're going to have a community prayer service, because I can tell you our city's broken on many levels, and that includes spiritually as well. City employees have to be a solid part of that foundation, and I just want to start by meeting them, acknowledging them, and appreciating them. It is so important. And then we have to look at the finances of the city. Within the first 90 days, you have to have a city budget passed. And the only way you're going to effectively pass a budget that addresses the needs of the city is that with the council, in those first days, we're finding what we can agree on, we're setting the goals for the city, and we're moving forward with a budget that will aggressively deal with the priorities that's set by the council and the mayor with citizen input.
Even amid political differences, most candidates stress the need for cooperation beyond City Hall. We'll hear more after a short break.
We'll move on to our next question. Jackson has struggled with water, trash, crime, and day-to-day operations. What is your plan to fix the basic city services and hold departments accountable? And I believe we'll start with you, Ms. Robinson.
First of all, let me just say this. Without a vision, the people will perish. I have a vision for Jackson. And I really believe if we unify together, one person cannot do it, but if we come together as one, North Jackson, Northwest Jackson, South Jackson, we'll be able to do some things that we need to do for this city. We know that crime, and as I stated, we need job opportunities for our young people. We need to make sure they have a good quality education. We need to overhaul our recreation department. Also, we want to create a task force to look at the infrastructure. Exactly what do we need to correct? And that's where the community input come in. And we'll be doing that, and we'll be working hard to make sure this city is not talked about in a negative way, that we'll come together as one, unify together as one, and get the job done.
The very first thing we've got to do is put up a team of professionals together. We have to have good, qualified, capable folks to run our city, to lead our city. The second thing that we've got to do is demonstrate to the folks who have control of our water system right now that we have the ability to control our own assets. So one of the top priorities of me is getting our water and wastewater system back under the control of the city of Jackson. The other thing is identifying resources. Where are we going to get the money from? With my background in the legislature, I have the resources, I have the relationships already to get those resources redelivered back to the city of Jackson. We will restore our relationship with the county, we'll restore our relationship with the federal government. There's $6.2 million sitting at the HUD office right now that can be used for blight elimination. I plan on day one to go after that $6.2 million for blight elimination in Jackson.
Management accountability is obviously critical. My experience at Trustmark was probably the most formative years of my business career in seeing what a complex organization with almost 3,000 employees in 6 states, 200 locations, and seeing what it takes to respect an organizational structure, to have the people in the right seat, to empower them to do the job, and then hold them accountable. And accountability is where it all is, and the empowerment so that they know their manager has their back, they're prepared and equipped to do their job. And then from there, it's on them, and we're going to be there to support them, and we're going to be there to encourage them. But it's critical that we recognize the complexity of the city of Jackson and what management of an organization with that complexity is, and what skill sets are required to be able to effectively take the lead in the city of Jackson.
The first thing we have to do is assess who is in leadership. So we're going to make sure we appoint directors that are qualified for the positions and understand what their role is. And we assess and take an inventory. What do we have? Why do we have pothole trucks that are not usable? Why do we have vacuum trucks that are not usable? Let's see what equipment we have, make sure we get it fixed. Why do we have hundreds of vehicles that are broken down for city vehicles? We need to get those things fixed. 90-day performance reviews. I've never led in a business or a company or a church organization where you didn't have regular performance reviews. We're going to implement that. We're going to make sure that we are implementing AI technology to regularly audit every single department's finances so that when something is done that shouldn't be done, it gets flagged without us even having to go looking for it. And we're going to make sure that we have a clear vision. I do agree with Ms. Robinson. We have to make it clear, where are we going as a city? What are our goals? But we don't need to have more meetings about this. We know where the problems are. I was just over there dealing with the trash issue at Chapel Ridge. We know where the problems are. Thank you.
How would you improve relationships with state and federal officials in ways that bring real benefits to Jackson residents?
The best way you can do that is elect John Horhn, mayor of Jackson. I already have those relationships. And as it relates to restoring that level of trust and accountability, we will start ahead of the game in terms of the rest of my colleagues on this dais. We already have those relationships. We know how to restore those relationships. I've been in discussions with the president of the Board of Supervisors. They're ready to do business with the city of Jackson. I've been in touch with the key leaders in state government. They're ready to do business with the city of Jackson with a better relationship. And I've also had conversations with the federal government about how we can return our water and wastewater system back to the city under our control.
I think the first thing we need to do to reestablish relationships is we need to demonstrate that we have the ability to take care of our own affairs, that what is entrusted to us is managed well. We have to acknowledge what maybe we have not done well in the past. Some of that may have been mistakes. Some of that may have been, let's just say, the best of intentions. But when you demonstrate, we acknowledge this is where we haven't done things well, here's where we're rectifying, here's where we're going forward. Those conversations with state and federal officials are just much easier, because I think we have to start looking at ourselves for what we can do better, how can we manage our affairs better, before we're just trying to build the relationship to just ask for more. Now, trust takes time, and we're going to have to invest the time to be sure that they understand and they can see the difference that's being made in Jackson. Thank you.
Well, for one, I've already been meeting with some of our state representatives and talking about how we can do things right now, whether I win or not, to actually move legislation forward in meaningful ways. But the conversations that I'm having with them is that this is not a Republican issue, it's not a Democrat issue, because I've spoken with both sides of the table. It's a we don't trust Jackson with the money issue. And we are aware that the state has done their stuff too. We know what happened with those TANF funds. We understand that, that they've done some stuff too. But as mayor, I'm responsible for what we do with city tax dollars, not state tax dollars. We're going to make sure we're accounting for it. One way we can build that trust is by turning in our audits that are 2 years behind. Once we do that, we can get our bond rating back. Then we can start rebuilding trust by paying contractors on time, paying invoices on time, and making it easy to do business with the city of Jackson, responsibly using the millions of tax dollars the state's already allocated to us, so that the federal government and the state government doesn't come in and say, well, you're not using that, so we're just going to take it back. We're going to use every dollar we receive, and we're going to use it well.
The word I would like to use with regard to that question is relationship, unification, working together. And I believe that if you have the mindset to reach across the aisle, reach across the city of Jackson and various neighborhoods, reach across to the federal leaders and also the state, the legislature. If we have the wherewithal to contact these individuals and they see that we're sincere on what we're doing in Jackson, that it's not a front, that we're serious and that we were brought up here, we worked here, we try to make changes that impact others' lives. And I really believe if they see that in an individual as mayor, that would help us to just correlate together, collaborate together, and also partner together to bring this city back to where it needs to be.
If I may follow up on this question here, you talked about relationships. Who do you have relationships with when it comes to state and federal people?
County Board of Supervisors, the governor, even though he and I are not bosom buddies, but we know how to get along when it comes to dealing with a common interest. The lieutenant governor, the speaker, the appropriations chairman in the House, the appropriations chairman in the Senate, the Ways and Means chairman in the House, the finance chairman in the Senate. In the federal government, we've had good conversations with U.S. District Judge Wingate about the future operation of our water and wastewater system. So from the county level, the state level, and the federal level.
I can't match Senator Horhn's list. Admire his relationships and years in state government. But my primary relationships are with some people in the governor's staff, Attorney General's staff. I'm not going to sit here and overstate those. I have had extensive meetings and developed a relationship with Ted Hennepin with Jackson Water. But I'm also not one to say that I met with somebody one time and I have a relationship with them. I take the word relationship, I set it at a pretty high standard. Now, Representative Ronnie Crudup Jr. is a close friend of mine, and we frequently discuss Jackson. We're in a group together every week where we're having conversations about what do we need to do for Jackson, and what can the city do to make it easier for the state to help us.
Yeah, so one relationship that I've been excited to begin building in the last year has been with State Representative Fabian Nelson. He's doing some amazing work, and he's very much a proponent for actually fixing things and not just talking about it. I have also gotten to have conversations with Mr. Ted Hennepin. I'll be talking again with him at the end of this month. I've spoken with actually most of the leadership in Jackson Water, and I'm actually in the Jackson Water Academy where I get to see how they do the operations and be taken step by step actually toward the water plant a couple of weeks ago, and spoke with the contractors who do the work. One of the things that are unique to me is the fact that I am very new to the circle. So I'm not gonna run on my current relationships. I'm running on the fact that I get to build new relationships that aren't tied up in an old buddy system. It's gonna make sure that when I build a relationship, it's to make sure it's for your best interest, not my own.
Psalm 27:1 says this, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? He is my all in all." That's a relationship that I have that's most prevalent and that's going to help me in this office.
We should note, besides the 4 candidates at the forum, Independent Kim Wade and Republican Kenny G are also on the June 3rd ballot for mayor of Jackson. We're back in a moment. We'll be back next weekend with more of the political and current affairs coverage that you demand. I'm Byron Brown from all of us here at 12 News. Make it a great weekend.